Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hi friends, today we are going to talk about the battle of narratives in context of the India-China face-off. So let's see how China has been waging this battle of narratives at the global level. There are many, you can say, weapons, or there are many tools through which China has been waging this. So one is the Confucius Centers, about which not many people have heard, I'm sure. Then you have the Chinese state media, which is they have a news agency called Xinhua. They have a international television network called CGTN. Then they have China Radio International, and then they have their official newspapers like the China Daily and Global Times also. So first we'll look at the Confucius centers. So these Confucius centers, they appear to be like American centers or the British Council or the Alliance Française, pretty harmless. But about 12 years ago, the Communist Party of China's propaganda chief Li Changchun had described Confucius institutes as important part of China's overseas propaganda setup. Then, so if we look at the 2017 report of the Confucius Institutes, this is their annual report. So they had established their presence in 548 universities and 1193 schools in 154 countries, and they had annual budget of 314 million US dollars, 46,200 teachers, and 1.7 million students. So you can understand the expanse of the Confucius Institutes. The experts have said that in 2018 the CAI had pointed out, then there are many intelligence agencies which have pointed it out, that the Confucius Institutes are basically not merely cultural centers, but they are an extended arm of Chinese propaganda machines. And to quote one of the authors, Confucius Institutes have one common theme: the total suppression of discussion of three topics beginning with T, that is Tiananmen, Tibet, and Taiwan. Now we'll come to the China Radio International. So the China Radio International, it has service in multiple languages, and it owns a large number of broadcasting stations through different companies all over the world, and it broadcasts the content in two manners. One is through directly through its own radio stations, and also the content which it creates, it is sometimes also broadcasted through other radio stations with whom they have an alliance. Then we have the television network, the CGTN network, what we call. Earlier it used to be called CCTV, but then it was rebranded in 2016 so that it could expand internationally well. And if I quote President Xi Jinping, so at that time he said that this is being done to tell this China story well. The Guardian has done a 5-month investigation on various outlets, and it published a report in 2018 which has some very interesting revelations. For example, the Guardian investigation, which lasted for 5 months, writes, for non-Chinese journalists in Africa and elsewhere working for Chinese state-run media offers generous remuneration and new opportunities. When CCTV launched its Washington headquarters in 2012, no fewer than 5 former or current BBC correspondents based in Latin America joined the broadcaster. So you can understand the influence of. Then the last thing, but through writing of books also. So I would give you an example. In fact, in 1970, Neville Maxwell, an Anglo-Australian journalist, wrote a book called India's China War, which projected that India was the aggressor and China was basically defending its territory in 1962. His book had such a huge impact that Zhou Enlai in 1971 in an official banquet in Beijing went to him, breaking all the protocols. He was sitting on the head table, Zhou Enlai, and then he gets up, goes to the foreign correspondent table, shook hands with Maxwell, and told him that you have done great service to China. Henry Kissinger is on record accepting as Secretary of State that Maxwell's book had a great impact on him and made him realize that US can do business with China. In fact, it's also said that he was able to impress on President Nixon, Mr. Kissinger, that Maxwell has projected the right view, and US should accept that viewpoint. Anyway, so till 2018, this narrative went on. Most of the policy makers, most of the think tanks. So Maxwell's book was considered to be the most authoritative one. And ironically, no Indian busted this myth. It was a Swedish journalist who wrote a book in 2018. The writer's name is Martin Lindner, and the title of the book is interestingly China's India War. So Maxwell had written India's China War, and Lindner has countered it with China's India War. So if you will compare both these books, Lindner has ripped apart Maxwell's arguments, and it's a very well researched book. So I'll not go into the details of the book, but I'm just trying to kind of share with our viewers that how China fights the battle of narratives. And it all started, in fact, earlier in 1930s when Edgar Snow, Western journalist, was given access by Mao. He wrote a book called Red Star Over China, which made the communist rebels at that time darling of the West. And Snow remained, Snow was always very close to China, and was treated very well. So, what we have to think that, are we actually doing substantial effort to fight this battle of narratives? If not, can we start doing it? Because the wars are now not only fought on the battlefront, but the wars are also fought, on various global platforms. And public opinion at the global level is also very important. And so far, China has been waging the battle of narratives pretty well. I think we need to learn from our adversaries also sometime, and move ahead. And I'm sure that in days to come we can put up a good fight in this battle of narratives also. Thank you.